And tonight, we actually begin with a question at the heart of these national protests and how politics works. Here it is. What does winning look like? America has been living through these marches for weeks now. Activist leaders say some things are already changing. Rare charges of officers, some cities passing these big reforms we've been covering. And they say other things are stubbornly the same. Atlanta's still roiling over this weekend's shooting of a black man who was found asleep in his car. Large protests there. He posed no immediate threat to anyone when he was found. And as these protests continue, there are questions about who are all these different protests moving? Which goes to the question tonight that I begin with. What does winning look like? Do these protests have the most impact on Democratic leaders, who historically rely more on the votes of minority communities and younger people? Do they have an impact on a wider group of more moderate Americans and white Americans who we have seen very visibly joining protests around the country more often than has been documented in recent history? Well, one sign on that is yes. The New York Times finds that American views are significantly shifting in support of Black Lives Matter. Now, do these protests have any impact on conservatives and Donald Trump, who, of course, is running the federal government? Any impact there? Many different pundits have suggested no. And they've argued Black Lives Matter just doesn't have any political leverage over Trump. But like so many things pundits say about politics and about these complex issues, that is wrong. Let me tell you why tonight. You can see the evidence in the Rose Garden today, where Donald Trump did something that he would not have done but for these protests. He took some government action against police brutality. Donald Trump bent partly to the protesters' view, which has been grounded in evidence in these disturbing cell phone videos, to formally state on behalf of the United States government and the Trump administration, this is new, let me read it to you, that police officers have misused their authority, challenging the trust of the American people, with tragic consequences for individual victims and their communities and our nation, end quote. Let's take that in. There is much that this new order fails to do. Now, as a journalist and a legal reporter, I can walk you through that tonight, and we have expert guests to guide us through that. But it would be a very narrow and really a potentially partisan mistake to just say that simply because of the president's faults, or simply to avoid ever grading him on a curve, that people tonight would ignore this new victory for these protesters. Even if, yes, also, and this is so often the case in the American civil rights movement, it's what you study in law school, this is, of course, only a small, partial victory that arrives so late and arrives only under the utmost pressure and arrives only amidst this tragic backdrop that so many are living through and some, of course, are dying through. So let's state all of that for the record. But the victory here is these protesters that you've seen compelling a president on the opposite political turf to go out there today and have Donald Trump concede those problems, to do so with law enforcement present, and to add policies that these protesters have been pushing and that Donald Trump has long opposed. As we've covered on this program, this is a president who openly and unlawfully encouraged and joked about roughing up suspects. But now he's using the force of law under this pressure to make law enforcement cut down on chokeholds, the controversial tactic that has, of course, slowly executed people in custody, to deploy more mental health experts for de-escalation, to revise use of force policies, and tackling a void that we have covered many times on this very show, and we've discussed with policymakers in both parties. This new order will finally begin fixing the gaping hole in federal tracking of police misconduct. So there is, starting now in 2020, one national accountable database for police misconduct, if it is executed effectively. Each of those things I just mentioned lean towards what protesters have been demanding. They also fall short in many ways. I can give you both of those facts tonight. As a reporter, I can tell you this is both a step, whether or not it's popular to note that it's a step, and it also, of course, involves things that many of the same experts have said falls short. But regardless of whether you think the president was dragged here by his own self-interest, under pressure, or if you think he deserves no credit, fine. Others can decide whether and how to dole out credit. But there's been so much going on, and then there's such a partisan, polarized reaction to what's going on. I want to make sure to stress this to you tonight. I am reporting to you that the Donald Trump White House was pushed towards backing police accountability measures. That's news. Now, protesters and many legal experts are still pushing for far more. That's not the end of the news. They want to curb the immunity that protects police in court. They want to mandate independent investigations of police shootings to end conflicts of interest for DAs. They want to curb or defund police departments to force more accountability on police union contracts. They want to reform no-knock warrants. The order that I just read from and the president's holding up there does not do those things. And there are new federal bills in Congress that would go farther than the president's executive actions today. But let me tell you, when you have protests in the street for this many weeks, and you see the reaction not only from potential allies, not only from concerned Americans, not only from local mayors, not only from the press, which has a role, of course, in trying to be fair and accurate and tell people what's going on, but when you see it across the line from this president, you have to stand up and say, wow, these protesters are getting something done. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.